Welcome, adventurers, to episode 12 of the Thumbstick Adventurers. I'm Kagros,
IDK.
Juicy samples.
and today,
Thanks are here today.
no, today we have two guests with us. So we have Chunky, and then we have tonkhawk, or
Hello.
Tonk. We will call her Tonk. So we have invited these guests because our topic for today is going to be GameStop, and both of these guests have various experiences with the different aspects of GameStop that we will be discussing. So before we dive into it, just want to give a quick plug. If you're watching us live on Twitch, we have our previous episodes on our YouTube channel. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, we do live stream our episodes on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. PST. So if you would like to view if you'd like to see future podcasts, feel free to go out see either Twitch or our YouTube channel. Anyways, let's jump into today's episode. So today we are talking about GameStop, and actually we had this episode planned for a while, because we did want to invite Tonk to our podcast based on her previous experiences with GameStop. So Tonk actually used to work for GameStop. So we thought it'd be a good episode to bring her in. But then, and we had this plan for somewhere down the road. But then, starting last week, GameStop started making huge news. And I'm sure if you have seen Reddit, by now you will know about the relationship the very popular subreddit Wall Street Bets has with GameStop. So because GameStop is now making the news, we felt like we had to make the GameStop episode this week while we're in the middle of this crazy, of all this publicity that GameStop is getting. And we will talk more about what happened to GameStop with regards to stocks, and that is where Chunky, our second guest, will shine, because he can give us his impressions on what happened with GameStop.
Our GME analyst.
Yes, our GME analyst. Yes. But before we go to the episode as well, I just want to say, we are not financial advisors. This is an entertainment channel. Everything we say is just for entertainment purposes. Do not trust us with your money. I certainly would not even trust myself with my own money. So you shouldn't trust any of us with your money. Okay, just putting that out there.
Don't do it.
We are not responsible for any incredible loss of some money
Yes.
incur as a result of it.
I will claim responsibility for any gains that anyone gets. So please send them my way. At Juicy Samples.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Taking contributions now. Okay.
So, anyways, let's. So we're gonna talk about GameStop, the past, present, and the future. So we're gonna start with the past. So I guess I want to start out by asking everybody, what was your experience with GameStop? How much interaction have you had with the brand, and what was your experience with it? We can start with IDK.
Okay, so I actually remember the first game I bought from GameStop, personally. Now, my family's had dealings with them before. We'd go there to buy our consoles and games. But the first game I bought was a little-known niche title called Luminous Arc 1.
Oh, yeah? You didn't pirate it like me?
No, I didn't pirate. This is before I met you guys, before I was pirating the high seas. I had to find my games inside.
Wow.
What system was
So,
it?
I'm pretty sure that's gonna get
DS.
us banned on the.
it's a Game Boy Advance.
I'm not sure, actually.
It's a Game Boy Advance game, but it was impossible to find because it sold out of all the other stores. And so, looking online, the only place I could find it at was GameStop in town. They had one copy left, so I ran down there and picked it up. It was practically brand new. Whoever had it before didn't really play it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really grateful at that point in time to have a GameStop, because it had a rare game. It had a lot of rare games. And that was really sort of the appeal for me back in the day. It was like before the internet, before gaining the forbidden knowledge, GameStop was like the one place you could go to find really old, rare games that were out of print that nobody had.
Okay.
Is it?
So just to let you guys know, the reason why IDK bought Luminous Arc is because of the anime titties, guaranteed.
I won't deny that may have been a reason.
I swear to God, I feel like all these stuff is gonna get us banned off of.
I definitely
No, they won't. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I was definitely on a kick of turn-based anime games back then. But yeah, titties. Time to get banned.
All right, Juicy. What about you? I got any good GameStop stories?
I have some good related stories, and this for sure will get us banned because I'm about to share some deep dark secrets. So the first experience I've had with GameStop, I guess I should say I've never really shopped at GameStop, but I did grow up shopping at this one place called Funkoland. It's similar to like EB Games, and I think GameStop probably bought both of them. I feel like GameStop bought all of the game boutiques, but yeah, like for Chunky, like those were just like GameStop type of stores that I think most of us grew up
Right.
back in the 90s. And then I think the first few games I bought, or my dad bought for me, I think it was like Turok on N64.
Mm.
And the thing was that I would borrow games a lot from Blockbuster, and I would borrow N64 games, and they were really fun games, right? So my dad, if you're talking about pirating, he was the king of pirates, because what he would do is like we would buy like really cheap pre-owned games at Funkoland for like $2 a pop.
Okay.
And these are N64 cartridge, right? So my dad, he would unscrew the cartridges that we borrow from Blockbuster, and he would swap out the chip or the board, and then he would like pluck out like probably like the CPU or something, just so that when we go back to Blockbuster, he would say like, "Hey, my son tried to play this game and it didn't work." But then he just returned it. So then like I have a lot of like N64 cartridges with like the wrong sticker, and then my dad, he would like,
handwrite
put a
over
sticker
it.
over it and like handwrite like Super Smash Brothers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're gonna get banned. So,
Oh yeah.
but yeah,
I know that's hilarious.
that's a really good memory. Yeah, that's it. That's all. That's all I've ever interacted with GameStop. Like I've never had had an account with them. I've never sold games ever. So I think after
Never
then,
sold games ever?
yeah. I don't really sell games. I only buy games, and I think I started buying games at Best Buy afterwards. I think, or Toys R Us. Yeah, no, Toys R Us was my main stop. Actually, it was
Sweet
never
Toys
like
R Us.
GameStop or EB Games or anything like that. Yeah. What about you, Chunky?
My experience actually. So one year I tried to go sell a bunch of my Xbox games to GameStop because I was switching to, the dark side of PS4s.
Yes.
And,
Welcome.
Do a swatch over, and GameStop didn't take 2/3 of my games because they were all published in for Asia areas. So I brought them when I was in high school from Asia, and so it was all like co-log or like area locked, and they're just like, oh yeah, we can't take any of this stuff. But I ended up selling a bunch of them on eBay for way more. But also, yeah, that was my first experience with GameStop. It's like trying to sell my Xbox games and ran into a lot of problems there.
Okay.
I also, the other thing I had with GameStop was I buy a lot of the Nintendo games there. They somehow have like really good, to me, like fair price for like Nintendo games, and like especially the Wii and Wii U generation ones. Really solid price. That's it.
All right. Now let's get to the cream of the crop. The reason why she is here. Tonk, please enlighten us with some GameStop stories. I'm sure you have a lot of them while you were working there.
I do have quite a few stories. I worked at GameStop in a pretty small little town. It was a very small Mormon town too, and so it was really cute. There's only one GameStop in the whole city, and so I always used to go there. And then one day, like before the summer started, the manager was like, "Hey, like you come in here all the time. We're starting to hire part-time employees. You're a girl. Do you want a job?" I was like, all right, let's do it. Like,
Sure.
I already had a job, and I was like, well, you're doing part-time. Like, that's great. I'm in. And so I had like an interview, and I got to work with like some really cool people, some not really cool people. And during like their summer, they always hired like a bunch of temporary part-time employees. And then when winter starts, they purge them all. But they kept me because of my charm and my anime titties, because I'm a woman.
The anime titties.
Hey Tom, what year did you work at GameStop? I'm just curious the times, the era.
I think it was 2014 or 2015.
So right when like the PS4 came out.
It was after the PS4 came out.
Okay, gotcha.
I kept all the hard drugs, you know. I'm kidding. It was such a short stint. Like, I really don't remember too much about my GameStop time because I also was like, I had another job at the time, and I was going through a transition of getting a raise at that job, promotion. So I had to quit GameStop because I had less time to work at GameStop. But I really enjoyed my time there. Like, it was actually a really fun place to work. Got paid shit. My discount was shit. Like,
Oh boy.
but you know what? It was fun. Like, kind of organizing the games and like getting like the background of all of it was really fun. I felt really bad when I had to turn people down for doing trade-ins. Like, Chunky, I'm so sorry. Usually it was more of like they were bringing me like really old games, and like when I worked there, they stopped selling like the really older games. Like the oldest they had was like PlayStation 2. And so if you brought me anything prior to that, we could not accept it. Even PS2 games, I'd give you like 50 cents for it, which I think was garbage. Don't sell your stuff at GameStop.
Dude,
but
I don't know if you guys remember, but like some of the old games they sell for like a lot of money. Like IDK and Juicy. Remember we tried to find Pokemon Stadium 2? Like a copy of Pokemon Stadium 2? Like in 2008? And like we couldn't find it anywhere. Did you guys remember that?
Yes, I do. I
Really?
do remember that. I also do remember. It's pretty interesting because, like Tonk said, at a certain point they stopped selling retro games. I do remember they used to have NES cartridges and SNES cartridges. It was some Sega Saturn stuff, and it would be very pricey, like crazy expensive. And it's sort of like they were a little bit ahead of the curve there. You know, if they'd waited a little longer, they could have had the corner on the whole retro market, because retro games right now are really expensive. People want the old stuff.
So
Like,
apparently,
if they
Pokemon Stadium, you can still buy a brand new copy, but it's gonna cost you $2,000.
Oh my god!
Yeah, pretty much.
guys, I've got a copy on my shelf. It's okay.
I got one too.
Pretty much. I mean,
You guys are rich.
technically have one.
So,
I don't have one, but I do know from experience that if you've heard of the Panzer Dragoon series, it's a bit of a tangent, but there's like 3 games in that series: Panzer Dragoon 1, which was a Sega Saturn classic; Panzer Dragoon Zwei, which was the sequel, kind of. And there's Panzer Dragoon Saga, which was like an open world RPG before open world RPGs even existed. That game, Saga, has never been re-released. So getting a copy of that game on eBay or through a private trader, do you want to know how much that costs?
God knows.
The cheapest copy you can buy on eBay, I believe, right now, is $14,000.
Holy crap!
Wow.
Oh.
And the fact is, these games were printed on discs that, unfortunately, experience disc rot. So the copies that do exist are fading away fairly quickly. And the Saturn games are very difficult to emulate. So it's like literally going to be a lost game pretty soon.
Man, how much can I sell my? I'm gonna check it out right now. I wonder how much can I sell blue version for? eBay. Let me see. How much can I sell my Pokemon blue version?
Oh, blue.
Not that much. Come on.
Oh, that's right. Yellow
They
version. Yellow
re-released
version. Yellow version. That's the good
Yellow
one.
version. They made remakes of those. You're not going to sell stuff
really?
like that.
Yeah, it's $40. It's $40. Let me see blue version.
It's got to be like. I know. Back in the day, GameStop was offering my Soul Silver for DS. Like they wanted $50 for that. Which is pretty intense.
I wonder how their pricing system works.
Honk.
I can't speak for it, but I do know like one time I did actually trade in my Soul Silver before I worked there. And they were like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? We'll give you like $10. Are you sure you want to do it?" And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then later I was like, "Oh, you know what? I want that game again." I go into the section and it's like $50, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Great."
Are you kidding me? Yeah.
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 It's like Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, I think. It was like the Wii sequel to the GameCube Fire Emblem game. Radiant Dawn, last I checked, was still going for like $50-$60 trade in. Because there has been a re-release of it, and it's really hard to find. So
yeah. So, anyways, I want to point out to. So I looked it up actually. So
Then do you pull out the cake?
You can still buy Pokemon Stadium
Sam.
1. You can buy Pokemon Stadium 1 for $28. I think it's
Really?
it's the new, like if
nice.
it's sealed, that's when it goes up like crazy. Like
Sam.
what Chunky said. Like it goes like I can get Pokemon Stadium 2 for $44 used. But I feel like if it's sealed, like let me look up Pokemon Yellow, sealed.
I mean, it's sealed. Like you never touched it.
You never open. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
value
$2,000. $2,000. That's the first thing. $2,000.
I mean, they have to provide proof that's actually original sealing. It's not like they got one of those sealing machines.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
rewrapped it themselves. You know.
Yeah, no, I know, but yeah, there is definitely a huge market for, especially if it's sealed. But I feel like even for, it looks like according to eBay, if it's open, then it's not really worth. But I remember we looked.
We went to a bunch of different little boutique like video stores that had little video game sections. That's how we found That's how we found Pokemon XD.
XD, yeah, we had Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness.
And then I picked that. I was like, "Ooh, I want this."
Yes.
I had no idea it was a sequel.
Anyways, let's get back to talks. Any other stories you got?
One of my favorite ones, answering the phone at GameStop sucked.
Sorry.
But there was one time I answered the phone and the guy on the other end was like, "Hey, do you have Day of Sex 2?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Do you have Day of Sex 2?" And I was like, "What the heck is going on here?" Like, and I got a little sassy. I was like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Do you?" And he got annoyed. He's like, "Do you have Deus Ex 2?" And then I realized he was saying Deus Ex,
Yes,
and not Day of Sex, and I was being offended for no reason. And then my manager was super cool. I really liked my manager, even though he hired me because I was a chick. But he was really straightforward, and he was one that was like, he was chill about a couple things. He never really pushed me for getting sales. He didn't push anyone for getting like power up point sales or anything like that. But there is a couple times when I had to work with one employee who was like a tenured agent. I think he was like a senior or something, and he just like. He knew it and it got to his head and he just kind of like used that power and abused that power and he kind of treated me like not great but not awful, I would say, but you could tell he had a little bit of a tude. And so my last day of working at GameStop, I already put in my notice because like I had another job and like it was getting really serious, so I was like, yeah, I can't just commit to GameStop anymore. My last day of working at GameStop, I had a really bad day. Like I was going to work like 4 hours in the evening, but I had like an awful day. A lot of like personal things fell through. and I had to like really work on a couple personal projects, and I ended up day drinking with a friend of mine, and I called the kid that was like really annoying and rude, and I was like, I'm not coming in. I can't come in. I felt awful. I put him in a bad position. I feel bad. I mean, this town wasn't that big. It's like he would have had a hard time working, but I did make him work by himself that day.
Nice. Yeah, make him answer calls for day of sex too.
They also don't play music at GameStop. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. There's no music.
Yeah.
They play like either game previews or like interviews.
Yep.
And I've never played this game, but I remember hearing Song of the Sea. Like, they were so excited to promote, like, I can't remember if that was the exact name of the song. I'm pretty sure it was Song of the Sea. For, like, PlayStation 4. It was a pretty small, like, indie game. And they were so excited. Like, this is going to be the best game ever! And then, like, I never heard anything about that game. But I know exactly how that trailer goes.
I know. I wonder, is it, shoot, what was that? Song of the Sea? Is that what it was?
It was something similar to Song.
Yes. Song of the Sea. Oh, no, it's a...
That's a movie. That's
a movie.
I was going to say, that's like Studio Ghibli, isn't it?
Oh, it is? What is that game, then? It was Tale of the Sea? It was something with water. I know that.
Is it a pirate game?
It might have been a pirate game.
What was the one that came out recently? Do you guys remember what was the...
Assassin's Creed?
No.
It wasn't Assassin's Creed.
Let me...
You mean the one by Rare?
What was it called?
Is that the one?
Sea of Pirates?
Sea of Thieves?
No.
Sea of Thieves.
Oh, here it is. Song of the Deep. It was Song of the Deep.
I was like, Sea of Thieves wasn't shown until I was like, Song of the Deep.
Oh, you know what? That actually has some pretty good reviews. I haven't heard of it since then.
Isn't that an Insomniac game?
Yes, it is an Insomniac game.
It's a VR Insomniac game, yeah.
Oh, that's probably why they were hyped about it. New technology.
Yeah. That's right. I remember that because I was like, "Oh, it's a new Insomniac game." It's like, it's VR. I'm like, "We're gonna play it." Okay.
Anything VR, yeah.
So I remember I talked to Talk about this too. So I watched this YouTuber, Moist Critical, and he posts a lot on YouTube, and he does a lot of story time where he talks about his past. And one of them, he talks about this interaction with GameStop, and he said, like, back before he was, how he is now, he used to be like an awkward anime virgin, basically, right? I forgot what the exact words he used, but he used to be like really awkward. And so then he tells a story about how he was gonna hit on the GameStop employee at GameStop. So, and then he walks through and then like everything, like I'm like, yeah, this is very relatable. Like I'm pretty sure when I was a teenager, I'm very sure when I was a teenager, I thought the same thing too. Like, oh, I'm gonna go into games. I'm gonna tell the girl the girl that's working at GameStop that she's pretty, and then just walk away or some. And it was just it's like oh yeah, like that's such teenage stuff. So I asked Tonk if she ever had someone that just some awkward person just said like she's pretty or something while she's working at GameStop.
It never happened. I can't remember if it's ever happened. I'm pretty sure it didn't. Again, I worked at a very like small little podunk Mormon town. It was a college town too, so it was like there wasn't much to work with anyway. Everyone was already married, or they were like really scared to do anything. I was also like hella naive at the time too, so I'm pretty sure nothing ever happened.
So I'm pretty sure you just brushed them off. Like,
probably
you just naively like, okay. Do you want day of sex or what?
Oh my god.
Jeez. So were you actually forced to ask people if they wanted to buy insurance for their game? Was it policy or what? Like all the add-ons, right? That GameStop is so famous for now that like going to GameStop is such a hassle because the employees always try to push shit onto you, right? So
So we had to recommend it, but I don't remember ever feeling like stress about it. Like they made it very easy. Like on the desk, they had like the broken game that you see at every GameStop, and so like I'd always play it out, be like, hey, like for this brand new game, I definitely would recommend the protection. But they didn't. I don't think I ever sold protection. I don't think my boss ever cared that I never sold protection. Like.
Yeah, you gotta have like your kids eating CDs or something. Like, so.
I think there were a couple times like parents were buying kids for their games for their kids, and they're like, "Oh, I probably should." And I was like, "Well, you got a kid."
They will. I'm sorry, but I have a kid, and they will eat anything in sight. Literally.
But your kid's not playing games. You are, and you're gonna take care of your games good enough, right?
Yes.
I mean, I think it would depend on the scenario. Like, maybe you get like the brand newest game, and you know you and your buds are gonna like share it, and you're like, "Can I get like the minimal protection for this, just in case one of them decides to use this as a frisbee after they're done?" Like an asshole they are.
I think the worst you can get is like getting fingerprints on the CD, if you were selling CDs, right? But like. I'm pretty sure video games taught me to be very delicate with video games. It's like, oh my god, like, this video game, I'll cherish it forever. I'm gonna take care of you. Put you in the CD case carefully.
Apparently, because usually don't sell a single game anywhere.
Well, I don't sell games.
Video games taught me don't hide your collection in plain view. Otherwise, when people get mad at you, they will take your favorite game and ruin it.
Oh man.
Oh no.
If
only you had that protection button.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this was before GameStop. I bought Spyro 2 from like one of those little boutiques before they died. I've been EB Games in a mall, and I love Spyro 2. I played it over and over and over. And then my sister got really pissed at me for playing it too much and not hanging out with her. So then one day I left, and I came back and found Spyro 2 smeared with jewelry polish or whatever. Fingernail polish. And there was a huge crack in it, too. So I put the game in, and it ran, surprisingly. It got all the way to, like, the second world of Spyro 2, and then it would just get stuck. It would just stay there loading forever. That day onward, all my games went into a special hiding place, far away.
Yes,
much taller than she was. Sad days.
Nowadays, just
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm saying nowadays there's no physical copies for you to ruin anymore.
I still get physical copies, and they go inside a bookshelf, and then there's books in front of them. So good luck knowing they're there.
Got some spy shit going on. Got some spy shit, dude.
Got a whole system going on over there.
I mean, if I don't do that, whenever I make mention like, oh, I might get rid of a game, my brother will come over and snag it and hide it. I'm like, where the hell did this game go? I don't know. And like 2 years later, I'll be moving stuff, and there it is, hidden behind like some blankets or something.
Sounds like you gotta put a new set of keys for the house, IDK.
Sounds like I had to kick out the monkey who lived here. That's not me.
And lock your family out.
Yep.
Speaking of these physical copies and eating games, have you guys ever put a Switch copy in your mouth?
Oh,
no.
A Switch game?
No. I have heard.
Have you heard of it?
I have heard about this. There's a very good reason why I did not do it myself, because I heard about people's experiences doing this. Nintendo being very clever about this. Perhaps you'd like to explain what happens when you put a Switch game in your mouth.
So I haven't done it myself. I've been curious about it, but I haven't done it myself. From what I understand, it tastes awful. Like, Nintendo made it so that people will not eat their games because it just tastes so bad. And so people put it in their mouth to test it.
People decided to test. I heard Nintendo had put a very bitter coat, whatever it is, some sort of application to their little chips, to their cartridges, just as like a precaution against like babies or little kids putting it in their mouth, like they'll immediately spit it out. So people were like, "Well, let's try it out." So someone threw a cartridge in their mouth and immediately spat it out because it tasted awful. It's very bitter.
Of course it tastes awful.
It's very disgusting. And it lasts a long time in your mouth too, so you know never to do it again. Apparently,
That's
again,
that's such a great idea. I really have to like give it to Nintendo for really thinking things through because I feel like they're such a family-oriented company.
Mm.
And like, yeah, my babies are gonna
Yeah.
eat my Switch games. I gotta do something about it.
It's like training a dog. They're training their humans to not put Switch games in their mouth.
All right.
pretty much.
And I believe that's a thing.
So let's go into my interactions with GameStop. So I think at my mall, I think it was an EB Games at first, and then it got replaced with a GameStop probably around the year 2000. I want to say around there, and so just like IDK or just like Juicy, sorry, I've never sold any of my games. I have every game I bought. I still have. Like
Oh, yeah?
I my policy for the most of my life has been never sell games and always buy them brand new. So I don't really buy used games. I think I've bought used games probably less than I can probably count the amount of times I bought used games on one hand. So, but I do borrow games from friends and stuff like that. But if I buy a game, I usually prefer to buy it new. But the thing is, I spent most of my life on the high seas, such as like IDK. So like so like you can say, oh, look at him, look at Kagros, he supports the game industry. Yeah, I do. Yeah, sure, of course I do. Of course I do. Yeah, sure. I buy them new. I buy them brand new. I don't take my games in any other way. All right, hey IDK, can I borrow your R4? So yeah, so I just like IDK, I bought a lot of. I didn't start buying online until 5 years ago. I would always go into GameStop and buy my games, and I would pre-order for most of my games. Now I don't pre-order. I don't really pre-order anymore. But maybe like 5 years ago, before I started buying online, I would always pre-order my games so I would get the bonus, and I could also pick it up. And the one big advantage that from buying from GameStop compared to online was that I could go to GameStop on the day of release and just pick it up. And in my college town, where I shopped at GameStop for a long time, going to GameStop, it was really easy. I just either hop on a bus or get on my bike, and GameStop is not too far, so I can immediately pick up the game. Or we get in IDK's truck and we drive to GameStop.
Run to.
So like yeah, so I usually preferred buying it from GameStop just because I could pick it up, and they had midnight release too, so you could literally get it at midnight. If you buy it on Amazon, you would have to wait. Even with Prime shipping, it might not get here until this was 5 years ago, right? It might not get here until Monday.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's why I shopped at GameStop a lot, but I didn't really like it because I'm a pretty big introvert. I'm sure most of you know this. I'm a pretty big introvert, so I really hate interacting with the employee there. I'm like, I just want to buy my. I just want to be less than that. I just want to buy my game. You buy the game, and sometimes like they would try to talk to me. Like I remember when I bought what was it? The game from Quantum. What was it? I think Beyond Two Souls. Beyond Two Souls. I was really hyped for it because I thought the story was going to be unique, and also because Heavy Rain, I really liked the storytelling that they did there. And like I was buying it, and then the employee started talking to me. He's like, "Oh, like I've been watching the review of this all day because we've been playing it, right?" And then I said, "I don't want to know anything. I've been avoiding the truth. I've been avoiding. And then he was like, "Oh, you're really in for a treat." I'm like, "Thank you." And I'm like, "Please don't say anything else." And then another time I bought I bought Pokemon Omega. I think I got Omega Ruby, or is it? Yeah, Omega Ruby. And then the GameStop employee was asking me, and I said, I would like to get the Pokemon game. And he asked me, do you want Omega Ruby or do you want Alpha Sapphire? And I'm like, I would like Omega Ruby, please. And then he was like, oh, excellent choice. It's like, do you want Godzilla or do you want Shamu? And I'm... so that kind of gets me to my next point. so now a lot of the video games are moving online, and I think one thing that is kind of from the past is the employee interaction whenever you go into a store. Not just for GameStop, but just like in general. So the comparison I want to make here is like Blockbuster. And I know like back when Blockbuster was big, one of the big draws was that you could go in and then you can go to the employee and they can recommend you, or you can ask them, hey, what movie's good? And then they can recommend you the movies that they think were good. And this is also one of the big draws of hobby stores now, is that when you go to a hobby store and you go there constantly, they'll know who you are, they know your name, they know what game you play, and if you want to buy something, then they can recommend it to you. I frequent a game store here in my local town, and up until before he left, I was friends with the manager there. And like watching him interact with everybody in the game store, like he knew everybody, he knew them all by name, he knew when they came in and everything. And I think just that human interact, and I think that GameStop used to have, just like Blockbuster used to have, this human interaction before they started asking people to push things. And like I'm not a big fan of him anymore, but I know Boogie2988, before he was a YouTube star, he used to hang out at his local GameStop, not as an employee, but just as a gamer, and then people would ask him to for advice about games. And I think that probably maybe 10 15 no, maybe like 15 20 years ago, I think GameStop was kind of like that, just like Blockbuster, where you can go in, you can ask the employee, and obviously if you work at GameStop, you there's no way that you wouldn't work at GameStop and you don't like games. Like you work at GameStop because you like games, because otherwise the pay is shit. And just like Tonk said, right? Like if you work at GameStop, it's because you like games, right? So, what do you guys think about the human interaction part of it? Like, did you guys think it's a value added to you when you go visit? Like, let's say for GameStop, like forget the GameStop's like policy of pushing things onto you now. Do you think it's better for the customer to have someone that is knowledgeable about the product and can give you recommendations?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely if it wasn't GameStop. Like, if you had your local video game store that wasn't Best Buy or GameStop, I'd be for that, because you actually build a personal relationship with them, like you said, Kagros. I feel like with GameStop, I don't know. I feel like nowadays with people being able to research games, or like they'll like see it from Instagram or something that says like, oh, Animal Crossing is like the best new thing, so people will just buy it, and they'll buy it from Amazon or Best Buy, or they'll just buy it online. And I think it's just different. I think, especially with video games, I feel like everything's pretty digital, and I think the digital versions of consoles make a good point for that. So, if it were like board games, then I would agree. Like, I think you need that human interaction for board games, just because you want to know what's fun and you don't want to waste your time. And the same goes for video games, but I think less so, especially now.
See, I even love the
Like
human
my.
Go ahead.
So go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Dunk.
All right, we'll let
like-
Chunky go first. Chunky, go first.
Okay. So my wife actually likes going to her like local bookstores, because especially the bookstores out here, they have like monthly recommendations, and they categorize like to minute detail of like different category of like specific books that would suggest, like, if you read like this previous series, it will be like a good suggestion and like translation to a different, like a second book that goes with it. But I feel like for video games, it's a complete different category. You can read a lot of reviews online already before even, like, when I go to GameStop, I already know in my mind like what I'm getting.
Mhm.
I really like will not be looking for like recommendations in the store, you know. Instead, I kind of like I'm not there to like browse. I'm just here to like pick up the game,
Yep.
kind of situation.
See, I'm gonna have to disagree.
Yeah.
Like, with my personal experience, I love going into stores, like any store, even like a restaurant. And I like asking, like, what do you like? And I do like doing that at GameStop too. Pre-pandemic, I lived right next to a GameStop. And so I'd go in and I'd just browse. Like, I'd be bored, so I just walk around. I got like a gift card one day, so I was like, I'm just gonna go around GameStop. There's nothing in particular that I want. And like, I love when the employees come up and they're like, "Hey, what are you looking for?" And you can just ask them, like, "I don't know," and like they will have the recommendations. I remember at the GameStop that I ended up working at, I was gonna buy an Xbox One, and I was so excited. And they had all these options to choose from, and I asked the employee, I was like, "I don't know which Xbox One I want," like, because she was like, "Which one?" And she was so excited too. I was like, "I don't know which one. What options do you have?" And she's like showing me, and she's like, "Honestly, I think the Gran Turismo one is going to be the best. It's sexy blue, and it makes like a car noise." And I was like, "Oh my god, she called me sexy." So I bought that one because I'm a people pleaser, and and so like I thought it was super fun, like getting those recommendations. Like, it's so personalized, and I think even with GameStop, I love it. I like going in because they'll even like nowadays at GameStop too. I don't know if you've noticed this, but they'll push the protection, but they also push a lot of pre-orders now. Like, they have their little book on the table, and they're like, "Oh, look through the book. Which ones do you want to pre-order?" And I think that's a really cool thing too, that they'll mention it, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm excited for this game." I think it's personalized. It's fun. I mean, I'll never pre-order a game from GameStop. I'm very different from you, Kagros. I like my bonus bundles that you get from like Target. I only pre-order games from Target now. There's always like something fun thrown in.
So I will pre-order a game if I do really like it, so I can get the pre-order bonus. Don't get me wrong, I pre-order games to get the bonus, but now it's for me the bonus is not worth it, especially if I'm on the fence about it. Like, as much as we like to rag on Kingdom Hearts 3, I pre-ordered that to get the digital bonus, right? But like, yeah, I have since moved away from pre-ordering. I'd rather, because like a lot of the day one, like 13 Sentinels, when we put out there, we didn't get it day one. But I have the game, the one they shipped me is a day one copy, right? So I still got the bonus for it, even for not pre-ordering. So, and I think it's kind of dangerous to pre-order. Like, we all know what happened last year with Cyberpunk, right? You got screwed if you pre-ordered it because you're stuck.
Really? You don't get a refund?
Oh yeah, you can refund now, but like, imagine if it wasn't as bad. Like, it wasn't as bad. It was still bad, but not like, oh, we're gonna do a forced. We're going to do a total recall of the game, basically, right? So...
Yeah, it's going to my experience with GameStop. My GameStop's always been pretty chill, back in college and here. I never really had anyone be really overly pushy or, like, try to sell me anything. Maybe it just comes down to the way I look. Maybe I'm a scary kind of guy, so they're like, "Oh, whoa, man, let's not piss off this guy. Let's just let him buy his game and get the hell out of here. Maybe we can live a day,
I imagine IDK going to the shelves, pulling out Luminous Arc, and then the employee's like, "No, I don't want to deal with you."
I was like 16 when I did that. Come on, man. It wasn't a big old bulky. How about when we were in college?
You look the same when you were 16.
Literally. I was smaller. I still look old. How about when in college, I got introduced to Ratchet & Clank at GameStop because it was on sale. Tools of Destruction. And I pulled that game. I went to the counter, and the guy's like, "Oh, that's a good pick. You ever tried Ratchet & Clank before?" I'm like, "No, I literally have never heard of it." He's like, "You're going to love that. I bet you'll be back for the next one." Sure enough, I was back for the next one, baby. I love that game.
Yeah, it's IDK's main game.
But going to the whole point of, like, having people recommend you stuff, it really depends on how sincere they are. Because I've had experiences where, like, I have a game, and the guy comes up and he's like, "Oh, yeah, what are you getting?" And it's like, "Well, I'm getting this game." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, like, I really like that game, too, and I think you might like this one." They hope this game is completely irrelevant to the game you're picking. It's like, maybe it's a new release, and it's like, trying to sell me a game, man? Is that what you're doing? I understand the hustle. I applaud it, but I don't want that game. But like they're like, yeah, like I played all these games. I'm like, I think one people are sleeping on is this game. And it's like at the bottom of the rack and like it's hidden. He's like, no one ever seems to buy this, but I really love it. I'm like, I might just take up on your offer there. Maybe I'll pick it up. And with GameStops, it's sort of like a hidden thing, but apparently if you buy a used game from GameStop and you don't like it for some reason, you can return it for a full refund before 7 days is up. You have a whole week if it's a used game, I believe. So you can technically speedrun a game that's used if you really like it before 7 days and return it for a full refund.
So that's why IDK speeds through games so quickly. He knows. That's why IDK is always the first one to finish our games.
I could, but I don't ever do that.
Urgency.
I used to sell games. I really don't anymore, because the value just simply isn't there. Like, and a lot of my games now have been sort of like obsoleted.
I mean, you're better off just selling on eBay now. You're better off selling it on eBay.
You don't want to go through all the work. I mean, there's a part of me that also kind of wants to start building a collection too, but it's not really for my sake. It's from like my brother and my sister. They love classic games, and like having an actual physical copy of the game you can always play. That it'll stop working when it stops working, but you still have it.
Yep.
Versus a digital version that can just vanish into the mist. Nintendo. It's kind of appealing to have, I guess, but it takes up space too.
IDK, the high seas are calling. Is all I will say.
I know. But there's the issue of the emulators and making it work with controllers and stuff. It's just a simple pleasure just taking a game off the collection wall and putting it into the
Can you even pirate games nowadays?
These days? Yeah, it's harder now. Nintendo's been cracking down, but like you can still find emulators.
Games, very easy now. They have so many emulators for the older systems.
No, of course. No, the older ones, for sure, I understand. But like the newer titles, like the current stuff, it's hard, right?
It's a little harder. I haven't pirated a game in a while, so I can't speak for it now.
But
that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's even a thing anymore.
So it's definitely a thing, but I've made a moral decision to buy games, and I've sailed the high seas all my life, but then I stopped once I got a job. I bought games to especially support like games that I like or companies that I like. So like I think on my personal list, Atlas is one of the companies that I'll always support. I'll try to support if I can.
Hey, Atlas, you hear that? You hear that? We support you guys. Come on, you guys support us by giving us SMT5 early, okay?
Yo, review copies, please. But actually, so Tom, I wanted to ask you if you've had any memories or any like stories about giving advice to customers about which games to buy.
I don't. Because I think at that time too, I was still I wasn't as seasoned in games as I was. Like I had some systems and I did play some games, but they were all like the popular games. So like, I don't think I ever really had advice. And I don't think anyone ever really asked me for advice as well. So it was more of I just worked there. But I did love games, and I learned a lot about games there too. Like there were a lot of Wii games that seemed really interesting and fun, and like a lot of old PlayStation 2 games I finally got to like see, and it was interesting. And that Tales from the Sea game, I mean, obviously, but
did you? Even though you said that your perks were pretty bad, were you able to take advantage of the system? Like,
yes.
Maybe like IDK, like buy a used game and then return it not in a week, but like return it in 2 months. And since you're the employee, you're like, oh, I can still return it for a full refund.
I did not know that policy. I think I did know the policy. I think I've told a couple people before, but I never took advantage of it. I did use my perks a lot, even though they were junk. I came in and I bought games all the time, but I never sold games back, but at least when I worked there.
Did you ever get to take a new release home before anyone else, before a street release, and get to play it?
No, I got to see them, but I never took them home.
Okay.
How did that work? Can you give us like the insight?
Missed opportunity.
I kind of remember. I I can't remember exactly what game came out. It was a big one.
Call of Duty.
It may have been a
Yeah,
Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Call
yeah,
of Duty,
yeah.
probably Call of Duty.
But like I ended up not working that night. But I'm sorry. I'm still trying to remember. I was it a Kingdom Hearts game? I can't remember. But they had like this sign-up sheet. They had like an old-fashioned like paper and pen sign-in sheet of all the games they had to buy, and then they bought like a couple more games based on how many games they pre-ordered, or how many people tried to pre-order the game. But I never got to actually work it. I heard that they got kind of crazy. I got to see the games, but I never got to do too much with that.
This is a little tangent, but do you guys remember the first game you pre-ordered? Like, for me, this is back in Toys R Us, where my dad, I think he helped me pre-order, it's a little embarrassing, but, Hey You Pikachu on N64. I think he pre-ordered that game for me.
Classic.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my parents pre-ordered a Pokemon game for me. Probably Gold or Silver. I'm pretty sure they did. Because I remember I got a disc with it. I think it was a pre-order bonus. So I'm pretty sure there was a disc that showed you new Pokemon. I believe it was a CD-ROM you can put into your computer. Let me see. But yeah, I'm pretty sure my mom pre-ordered it for me. Pretty sure.
I'm trying to think. Pre-orders.
I pirated my Pokemon Silver.
Of course.
Way to do it.
Everyone's experienced a bit of
Yeah. Oh yeah. So here.
I've never pirated a game.
So apparently
There we go.
here it is. So those who pre-order Pokemon Gold and Silver received a CD containing preview information for the games, advertisements for upcoming Pokemon products, video and music samples, a wallpaper, a screensaver, and a trivia game. So yeah, so there was a pre-order bonus. It was like a preview CD.
That's fun.
I literally can't remember what game we would have pre-ordered first. Like, I can't remember what game I would have pre-ordered for the first time. I'm sure there's something like a Sega Saturn game or probably a Sonic game, honestly, knowing me.
Oh, I remember what I pre-ordered. My heights of playing Halo, all Halo-related games.
Yes.
Yes.
I got Halo Reach, and that was one of my favorite experiences.
I definitely think my younger brother would say that is his first pre-ordered game because he loved Reach too. I think going back, like, for my family, the first game we probably pre-ordered probably was a PC game, honestly. I'm thinking it's probably either Diablo 2 or Neverwinter Nights. My brother was huge on those sort of like
Civilization 2
clone stuff. So probably something like that.
All right. So actually, I forgot to mention this before. So not only do I have experience with GameStop, but I have a lot of experience with GameStop's like subsidiaries. For back in 2008, I was subscribed to Game Informer magazine for a year. In 2007, I was actually, and it was cool getting the gaming magazine, in my mail and like seeing what games were coming out because back then I was using the internet, but like just reading it, I preferred to read things hard copies. So being able to read Game Informer was also really cool. I also used Congregate for a very long time. And with regards to the Power Up Rewards card, I actually had a lot of points. And the Congregate badges you can get you also get Power Up Rewards points from it too. The problem is I never spent the point. I just kept letting them build up. I thought, I'm going to get something big. I never spent them. And now I have nothing. Because if you don't buy anything from GameStop for a year, after a year, your points get wiped. And I found that out the hard way.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, so I really regret not spending those points. I probably could have gone like $25 off of something or something like that. I left it on the table. Shame.
Yeah, that happened to me, but I knew it was coming. I was like, I was waiting like how long I had to buy a game for them before it would reset, and then it reset, and I was like, well, there goes like a bunch of points.
Yeah.
Happened to my brother though.
Kagros.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It happened to my younger brother. He had a lot of points, and GameStop screwed him on some Xbox Live cards, like the gold cards or whatever,
Mm.
for Live, and he got super pissed, so he didn't go back to them to buy anything. But he had a bunch of points, and so we didn't know that they expired if you don't buy something. So he finally went back to buy something, and he wanted to use his points or whatever, and they were gone.
Yep.
I've never seen him so livid in my life. He has not gone back to GameStop since. He absolutely hates them with a passion. He will only buy stuff from Best Buy now. Yeah.
All right, Juicy, go ahead.
I mean, they shouldn't be able to do that. Like it's like no other people. Like there's not a single credit card company in the world that
Yeah,
will
well,
say,
credit
"Oh,
cards,
we're
actual
gonna
money.
wipe your points."
GameStop points have no value. Read
So
the fine print.
I feel like that's a perfect segue to the present time. But I want to ask Kagros like, so GameStop owns Game Informer,
Yep.
or like what is? Oh,
They still do.
that's the-
They still do. They still own Game Informer. I looked it up just
Mhm.
a couple hours ago. Game Informer apparently is one of the, I think it's like the 5th biggest magazine currently in circulation right now. It's a pretty
Yeah.
big. I'm very surprised.
overall magazine.
I believe so. I mean,
Wow.
based on what I read on Wikipedia, but it's apparently it's still big. But I guess.
I definitely grew up reading Game Informer,
Mm.
but I was too poor, so I would go to the public library because they had the
Ah,
magazines,
yeah.
and I would read it there.
Yeah.
And then when I can splurge $8, or when I can sum up the courage to ask my dad if he could buy a PlayStation magazine,
Mm.
and I would justify it by saying there's a demo inside.
Yes, the demo
Like,
CD.
I want to
yes.
play the demo so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, so actually there's one more story I forgot to share. I think IDK was here. Just to give you an idea of how much of an introvert I was, and just like what Chunky said about how when we go into the store we know exactly what we want. So I remember back, I forgot what year this was, 2010 I think. I remember me and IDK, we got in IDK's truck and we drove to GameStop. And then I walked right into the GameStop, and before the guy could say, "Hello, what can I do to help you?" I just walked to the counter. I just told him, "I want to buy a PS3." And the guy was like, "What the?" I'm like, "I want to buy a PS3. Here's 300. Here's the amount in cash, right?" I used cash to buy it too. I'm like, "Here's the money."
Damn.
So the guy just went out, pulled out a PS3, and then said, I'm pretty sure I remember telling him, I'm like, dude, after we like literally the ATM, the Bank of America ATM was right outside. I walked the ATM, I withdrew the money, walked in the GameStop, put it on the table, and he brought me a PS3, and then we hauled ass to IDK's truck, and then we drove home.
wait, Kagros,
Was it?
I feel like you're not that introverted, like in a way where can you go to a GameStop now and like kind of converse and say like, yeah, I want to pick up a PS3, and then maybe little chit chat here and there, like, oh yeah, I want to play like the new Dark
No,
Souls.
no.
or, like,
I
the new
didn't.
whatever.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that at all. I
No,
didn't do
but
that.
would you do that now?
Maybe. I still don't want to talk to anybody. I basically don't want them to try to sell me something because I'm not gonna buy it.
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah, I guess it depends on like if you get comfortable doing those sort of experiences. Like back then, I was fine talking to them. Like if they wanted to recommend something, I'd probably talk to them a little bit about it. But like, man, what the hell? I just want to go, man. Somebody's selling my shit. Now, if I go in, and they want to talk about games. We're gonna talk about games. I'm gonna check them. I'm gonna be like,
Oh, boy.
let's see how much you really know about this, huh? I've been doing
Oh,
reviews on
boy.
this game. You're trying to preach to me, and I think it's gonna be bad. And they'll be like, oh, what do you know? I'll be like, I know everything. Prepare to be fact checked.
IDK, you should own a part of GameStop.
expand your empire, IDK. We're gonna expand from Beer Papas into a GameStop competitor.
Beer Papas are very safe. People want to have their pastry creams. Games, hey man, Sony and Microsoft are like, here, have a digital version of our consoles. You don't need to go to GameStop anymore.
I actually think it'd be cool to own like a retro game, or retro video store. A small boutique. I think it'd be cool. I think
Like an arcade store?
Yeah, I think actually IDK would be a good owner because he knows. He's into that retro. He has a really good knowledge about all the retro stuff. I think it'd be cool.
I mean, if I spent more time watching YouTube about old retro video games and then started a
I'm
story,
not even talking about like really retro. I'm just talking about like the stuff we grew up playing, right? I'm not talking about like
Yeah,
stuff.
that's considered retro now, dude.
I know,
I mean,
but
I would,
Game Boys.
I mean,
and-
I would talk someone's ear off for hours about how it's a goddamn shame Nintendo didn't buy Rare and help
Yeah.
fundraise Banjo-Kazooie 3. What were they doing? What were they doing? Why were they waiting? And why did they screw over Rare with Dinosaur Planet and make a Star Fox game? Come on!
all
They
right.
waited years for
Rare.
a Star Fox game. Anyways, we're tangenting. We should
Yes,
move on to.
let's move on to the present now. All right, so now we're gonna talk about GameStop and why it made the news. So buckle up if you have not heard the saga of GME,
Oh,
the master stock. So, anyways, let's just. So before we talk about it, once again, I'm going to reiterate: we're not financial advisors. Everything is for entertainment purposes, and I'm going to disclose my GME position. I currently own about $10,000 worth of GME. I bought them literally today before this episode, just so I could talk about it for this episode. So I bought $10,000.
What's your entry price?
I'm not.
Kagros?
I had $10,000 worth of
part?
GameStop stock GME. So I'm gonna pull up the chart here. Right. You guys can't really see it, but basically it's the Google thing. So let me switch it to 1 month. Okay. So
I did a little research. Alright, go ahead.
oh, hold on. Give me a second.
No, go ahead, Chunky.
I basically did a little research on our investment page, and I read back to where Kagros brought up GameStop as a stock option, and how he thought it was impossible. And I think back that day when he told us about GameStop, because it wasn't on my radar at all. It was like $25 a stock.
Nah, dude. If it was before I rocketed up, it was close to $20. Then it would have been close to 20.
Yeah, it was considerably
somewhere
low
below
than what today's price is. Yeah.
I would have foolishly said, "Don't do it."
No, you did. You said don't do it. All of us agreed not to do it. And
So-
here we are.
Yeah. we are in a GME world. This is a GME world. We're just living in it. So, anyways, the 1 month chart is shown on the stream now. So basically, I think I knew about GME. I think a couple weeks ago, back when Wall Street Bets started pumping it. So, and I remember we had a discussion about this. Me, Juicy, and Chunky, we talked about it, and then basically we all agreed that there's no freaking way. Like, why would you buy a dying company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And GameStop has been has been on the downtrend, I'm sure, and we all know Corona hit GameStop really, really hard. So if you look at this chart here, this 1 month, so about I think last week, was it last week? Yeah, it's like last Tuesday, GameStop rocketed up 60% in 1 day. So it went from $20 to like $36 at the peak on the same day, and then the following day shot up another $30, 30% to about close to $40. So you can see here on the screen, right? So 20 to 31, and then to 40 in over the course of 2 days. So basically doubled in price. And the reason for this was because on January 11th, Ryan Cohen and two of his friends were named to the GameStop board. And so Ryan Cohen comes from a pet company called Chewy. And ironically, a couple days ago, actually around Christmas time, one of my coworkers recommended me to buy Chewy because the stock looked really, really good, and people are in quarantine right now, and they're not going to stop spending money on their pets, basically. So he said you should buy Chewy. And then when GameStop news broke, and I found out that Ryan Cohen, I think his name is Ryan Cohen, when I found out that he was from Chewy, I'm like, what the heck? That's such a coincidence. So Cohen and two of his associates were named to the board a day or two after that, and then they produced a letter on what they wanted to do with GameStop, and then 2 days later, the spike happened on GameStop. So clearly, investors really, really like Ryan Cohen's vision for GameStop. So right now, if you look at the statistics here, the market cap on GameStop, even at a current value of 39.12, is $2.7 billion. So, and right now it's and a couple days ago it hit $45. Actually, maybe it might have been yesterday or the day before. It hit $45 before settling here.
Monday.
Yeah, Monday. So, anyways, let's go in. Let's go into this. Unless Chunky, do you want anything you want to say before we dive into this wonderful stock?
Nope.
All right.
YOLO stock.
Okay, so
YOLO stock.
yeah,
for
this
sure.
is a YOLO stock for sure. So, just to be perfectly clear, I may own GME position. I may own GME stock right now, but honestly, I don't have much faith in the company in the future. They really. I think Cohen has a lot of work to do to basically rebuild GameStop and turn it into something that's relevant, right? Because there's a lot of competition with Amazon and all of these online stores now. So, anyways, I think GameStop, when it caught my radar, I think it was probably 2 weeks at the end of last year on Wall Street Bets. So Wall Street Bets, I think, was probably the very first. Like they started it made hot on Wall Street Bets where someone did some GME DD. So DD stands for due diligence. So they analyzed the company, and they said, oh, GameStop right now is very undervalued at close to $20, and then like people should be buying this. So then at that time, and then that's when I brought it up to Juicy and Chunky. I was like, who the hell's gonna buy GameStop? Like why are they pumping a dead company? I told my friends, I'm like, why are they trying to pump a dead company? And then we kind of ignored it. We all ignored it, right? We were like, there's nothing's gonna happen.
Let's talk about something else.
Let's talk about something else. Like let's talk about crypto, or let's talk about Bitcoin. So then, anyways, and then, like I said last week, Cohen was announced to the board, and then it shot up. So there are actually a couple reasons why the GameStop stock shot up. First thing was Cohen. So Cohen, like I said, he comes from Chewy, and so actually I'm gonna put onto the screen now. Let me put together. So I did a lot of research on Wall Street Bets about this. Wall Street Bets is my only source, but I did read I did read a lot about it. So basically, let me see, where is it? Okay, let me see. Let me open up this one. I think this is probably where we should start. Okay, so I'm gonna go over this thread here. So this thread basically talks about the background of Cohen and his two associates who were named to the GameStop board. So there was a form that was filed for the board changes, and basically it was an agreement for Cohen, and so Cohen is an activist investor, and he sent out a letter telling the board to he really wanted to get a board seat, and the agreement basically said that it allowed Cohen and his two associates to join the board as long as they don't attempt a hostile takeover. And in the activist letter, Cohen said he doesn't want just a single board seat, and then he wanted to get additional seats for his associates. And when they said no, Cohen responded by buying more GameStop GME. So Cohen also brought two executives who built Chewy with him, and is the previous chief COO and the CMO, and then the previous CFO of Chewy. So basically, he wants to build another Chewy, and I think he took Chewy from like a very small company into a multi-billion.
Yeah, it started as a brick and mortar store, but it migrated over to e-commerce way faster than most people can imagine.
Yeah. So hold on,
Where are you posting this stuff? I can't see it on Discord.
Oh no. You guys can't see it. You guys can't see it. You can
Oh, okay.
just turn
I
on the
see.
stream and you should be able to see it. So
Okay.
so and so as a result of the agreement, he can only buy up to 20% of the shares. So and the thing is, and they basically want to prevent him from completely taking over GameStop. But the problem is that he has his two associates with him. So if he really wants to buy out the stock, then they can both buy it out and basically own the
Like a
company.
bear hug? I see.
Yeah. So
Like a bear hug.
yes, like a bear hug. Yes. So basically, this post goes on to say that Cohen is actually not an executive, and he's a founder, kind of similar to Elon Musk, where like if he's in something, he's gonna commit to it. So, and then basically it goes on to talk about how Cohen isn't just because he's in the company doesn't it, just because someone really good is in the company doesn't mean the company's going to do well. But they said that because of how hands on he is willing to. He's willing to to do whatever it takes to transform the company. He really wants to transform the company. And and then one thing to say is that if Cohen decides to take control of the company by buying out all the stock, then if he wants to take control of the company, then he has to buy up most of the stock. So because he buys the stock price is going to go up. So that is one of the reasons, and so this is for the long term. We're not talking about the short term. We're talking about down the road, because if Cohen really wants to take control of the company, that's basically like a flag. That's additional fuel for the rocket. So then after that, this post goes over the market cap potential. So the numbers for GameStop are, according to most of this DD, is pretty deceptive. So let me. So I think they talked about let me see, was it this post? No, I think it was on another post. So anyway, they were talking about like the revenue and how the revenue is down and everything. But so the problem with the numbers, actually let me try to find. I don't want to hand wave here. Here it is. I think it's this one. Okay, yeah. So just to say they took Chewy from a 100K company to a 4 billion company in 2017, and it's now valued at 40 billion. Right.
Yep.
So then here are the actual numbers. So the PS, I thought it was PE. So they're trading at 0.38 PS, but the average PS is 2.7. So just by looking at those numbers, it's good. So in the holiday report, 11% of the stores were closed and revenue only dropped 3%, but comparative store sales increased by 5%. So one of the things before the Cohen thing was involved was that they were expecting GameStop additional revenue because of the new generation, right? People want to buy more consoles. They want to buy the new consoles, and they want to buy the games for the consoles, which would drive up revenue. So that was one of the catalysts that was talked about in the original post back in December. And we like, no way, like we talked about this too. We're like, nah, that's just it's gonna be such a small proportion, and with COVID, So yeah, there's a lot of discussion about like the fundamentals and the financials. So what the last thing to talk about is the short squeeze that's going on. So let's talk about what a short is first. So stocks, investors can bet on a stock by either a long or a short. If you bet long, you think the stock you think the stock is going to go up. If you bet short, you think the stock is going to go down. And the reasons for these terms are that in the long term, stocks usually go up. And when stocks go down, it's only for a short term, but when they go down, they go down. They go down very quickly. It can take a stock 4 months to build up, and then for a couple of days to basically kill it all in one. So that's the origins of long and short, because it goes down is only in the short term, and in the long term, stocks only go up. Stocks only go up. So for a short squeeze is when you short a stock. What you do is that you borrow the stock, the shares, from a broker, and then you have to pay, and then the longer you hold them, and there's some interest rate involved too. So you buy it and then you immediately sell it. So let's say that you buy, you're going to short 10 shares of a stock that's worth $100. So you borrow those shares from a broker and you sell it. So now you have $1,000 in hand. And then after that, you need to cover the short. So in order to cover the short, you need to buy the shares back and then return them to the broker. So let's say you bought 10 shares at $100. The stock drops to $90. So then you go ahead and buy 10 shares for $90, for $900. You return to the broker, and that $100, you keep it.
Okay.
But likewise, if you buy it for a higher price, then you have to use your own money to buy the extra if it goes up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what short selling is. You're basically, you're borrowing the shares, selling them, and then you're going to buy them back later and then return it. So that's how short selling works. So apparently for GameStop, the people have been shorting the stock because they don't believe in it, and they have over-shorted the stock such that there is now, in order for the shorts to cover all of their shares, they need to buy 130% of the available shares in the market. So basically you have a lot more, there are not enough shares to go around for the short sellers to cover their shorts. So, and they have to buy it back. So
Regardless of price.
yes, regardless of price, because otherwise they're going to get killed by the interest. So apparently back in 2008, I'm going to put it up on the stream now. Right. Volkswagen had a massive short squeeze back in 2008. So like, I think it went up higher. So the Google stock only shows that the short went up to $61, but I think it went up even higher. I think it went up over $100. So it was $30 and then it doubled, but according to this, but I don't think there's enough resolution. I think it went up even higher. So the Volkswagen short squeeze was a really big event, and Wall Street Bets is predicting that it's going to be even worse, because at that time the amount of shares they needed to cover was much less. It was much less than what it is now. So the short squeeze is another. They really, really want to hammer the shorts and basically force the shorts to buy the GameStop stock at a very, very inflated price.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the main reasons why people are looking at GameStop. Like, I don't even, in my opinion, I think it's just strictly, I don't want to say market manipulation, but it has everything to do with the stock market rather than how the company is doing it in the future.
Oh yeah, that has nothing to do with the evaluation of the company.
Yeah. So I honestly don't think that, looking into the future, Cohen has a huge plan for GameStop. So let me bring that back up on the screen, because it is worth talking about. Let me see. One of these things talked about what he wanted to do with the company. So, according to Cohen, he sees actually a $2 billion total addressable market cap for gaming by 2023. And let's see, anything else? I don't think this was a post. I think there was another post about Cohen.
But frankly speaking, 2 billion it's not that big.
Right now it's 2 billion. Right now it's 2 billion.
So another 2 billion.
No, he sees 200 billion addressable market cap for gaming. For gaming.
100.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
200 million. I don't think it was this post. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here. No. Let's get out of Wall Street Bets and let's talk about let's go into the financials here.
Oh,
Let's
it's
let,
not, it's not
let's,
the
let's
unreliable
okay.
source.
All right. So this is equity research. It's equity research website, and so they have 3 price targets for GameStop. So they have a bear case where the price target is $32. They have a base case, which is $80, and they have a bull case, which is the price target is $169. I'm pretty sure they picked 69 on purpose.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Nice.
basically, what they let me dumb down the research for you is that everything is basing on the e-commerce growth, which was the highlight of last year's report. I think e-commerce growth last year was 500% for GameStop. They have started moving to an e. Let me also change this. Give me 1 second.
no, I thought it was like 300%.
It was really high. It was really high.
Yeah.
Right. So let's do that. Okay.
So my question here, when you're talking about percentage, you're saying they sold 300 games on their website, and because of the 300 percentage gain,
Yes.
they're now selling 900
Yes.
games.
Exactly.
It's not that much, right? I want to know how many games they're selling through their e-commerce website, because for them to
I
not
think the net revenue was like 2 billion for that one quarter.
Oh really? Huh.
Hmm.
So anyway, so they
Which
okay, yeah. So they did a research, and so the bull case of 169 is that they believe that Ryan Cohen wants to accelerate the digital transformation by boosting the e-commerce contribution to 45% and aggressively pursuing business partnership. Because apparently, this is another news that broke too. GameStop has a deal with Microsoft now.
Really?
And basically, GameStop gets a cut of whatever Microsoft products they sell. They get a cut. And they also started, as part of the agreement, they will start using Microsoft in their backend as the backend software, and they will also have Microsoft services in their GameStop stores. And so according to the bull case here, the 3 Chewy executives will. The bull case is that Cohen is going to be appointed CEO to execute his vision of transforming GameStop into a technology-driven sector leader, as per his letter to the board. So for the bull case, it seems like they are really banking on Cohen transforming the company. And
because I was reading their current CEO, it's they got him from Best Buy, which also isn't doing so well because it's a brick and mortar store.
yeah.
So
So the bear case on this equity report is if they continue doing the direction that the current CEO is taking them under. And they do not believe that that represents a probable outcome. And in the unlikely event, $32 is the fair market price for this stock regardless. So even right now it's sitting at 39, it's probably valued correctly. So
yeah,
anyways, I've been talking long enough about this. What do you guys think about this crazy GameStop stock?
So Kagros, so you're saying if Wall Street bets didn't involve themselves with GameStop, you're saying that GameStop would have died?
I think Wall Street bets. I think they hyped up the stock so that people are talking about it. So, according to most calculations, Wall Street bets the retail investors probably only own about 10% of the GameStop, of the GME shares, total GME shares. They only own about 10%. It's still owned largely by institutions. And the current Wall Street bets thing is basically saying, if you only buy shares, never sell. Like diamond hands forever. Because if you sell, then the short sellers can cover their shorts. So their motto now is just hold on and let the squeeze happen and let it rocket up.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they definitely
Sit
hyped
tight,
it up.
basically.
They hyped it up. Like if Wall Street Bets wasn't talking about it, it probably would not have rocketed as fast. It's just because of the publicity that they give it. because I don't know if you guys browse the front page of Reddit, but Wall Street Bets made the front page of Reddit. It was the very first post, the top post on Reddit this morning. Like when I opened Reddit this morning, I saw Wall Street Bets at the top. Like, oh my gosh, those fuckers did it. I don't know if you guys saw it.
I mean, if you even invest a little bit, you've heard of Wall Street Bets, and you've heard of how notorious they are for putting money into things that absolutely you should not put money into. So when you see a top post from Wall Street Bets saying, dump your money into GME, you're like, what are these madmen up to this time? And, yeah, they're going crazy over there. They're determined to keep GameStop alive and to hurt the short sellers who now are sitting there staring like, this isn't what was supposed to happen. The interest is starting to build up. We need to buy out. We can't do anything.
So like, they're it really, really shows like the stock market is very dangerous. It's very, as a retail investor, you don't have any power. And I think a lot of the players from Wall Street Bets, they like having the power because this is their chance to screw the institutions. Like they have the power now because you can see so today, as of the film on Wednesday, this morning, a very notorious short seller was supposed to do a live stream that would talk about why GameStop is not worth the value, and he canceled it. And when he canceled it, GameStop rocketed from $36 up to $41 in like half an hour. It rocketed up 10% in 1 hour.
His excuse was so lame.
You know about it, huh?
In the inauguration
today. I totally forgot. We'll just postpone this to tomorrow. Huh? What? Everyone knew the inauguration was going to happen. How'd you not know? So this just emboldened the Wall Street Bets people even further. So now they're like, we're going to keep buying, we're going to hold, and this person is probably going to get screwed.
Yeah, so they called out the guy for manipulating the market I think that's what the short sellers are trying to manipulate the market to scare people into selling. And the way they manipulate the market is pretty scary. I personally don't understand it too well. Because not just they manipulate it in other ways, not just through like media and but there are other ways that they can do it. So, but the thing is, that's why Wall Street Bets say like, don't panic, just hold, because DFE from Wall Street Bets, he's the original guy that invested in GameStop. I think he bought it at, what was it, $4?
Something like that. It was very low.
Yeah, he bought it at $4, and he has a 10% return or a 10x return on it. And he's like, I'm still holding because he's like, it's not over yet. So like, when a guy that has already 10x his position, like he already made 10x, and he's saying, I'm still holding
almost 1% of GME right now.
Yeah, so like that really emboldens the traders. So like, I think it's really. I think it's amazing. Like, this is like a Wall Street Bets success story. This is amazing, and for that reason, I felt obligated to join. To join the Wall Street Bets army to prop up this dying company.
But you do know this little act by the people won't go unnoticed.
Oh, yeah.
Surely Wall Street's going to come in. The regulators are going to come in. They're going to like slap us down. Slap down the army, screwing with the big guys.
But who? But how are they going to slap it down? It's completely decentralized. It's literally a bunch of idiots at their keyboards.
Someone on Wall Street Bets had a very detailed post. I wish I'd stayed there. He was like, "Yeah, I don't mean to be pessimistic, but like they're going to see us doing this, and I was screwing over some of their friends. They're going to come in, smack us down, prevent us from buying stock or some bullshit." And I was like,
it's never going to happen. Because we're not doing illegal, sketchy stuff.
And
we're
there's
just
like so
buying
many
publicly
people.
traded stocks.
There's so many people.
Exactly.
It's not just one person. Like, the only person they can go after is DFV. That's the only person they can go after. Because they're not going to come for me. Like, dude, are they really going to come for a bunch of idiots that basically YOLO'd their life savings away on a meme stock? Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me? Like, just think how crazy that sounds. Like, it's just and it's not even a penny stock. I don't care GameStop is not a penny stock, right? It's worth, before it rocketed up, even like a couple months ago, it was $10. It wasn't a penny stock. I've seen penny stocks, right? Pump and dump schemes. This isn't a penny stock. You need $20. Like, Like if you want to buy GameStop, you need to. It's like 3 shares is a full video game. It's not like, yeah. It's not like AMC. AMC's $2.
The AMC, I just feel bad for. I wouldn't touch that shit.
They're done for, dude.
There's no way.
Yeah. So,
No way that-
anyways, what do you guys? Any other comments about this? About this crazy? Tonk, have you heard about GME before? Before I mentioned it to you today?
No. I'm waiting for my lesson. My personal Kagros 101 into stocks.
Yeah, I helped Tonk with her 401k at the end of last year. So hopefully I have helped her with her retirement plans.
All I will say is that I personally think video games will flourish. Maybe it's a short term where people can't go out and they can't watch movies with their friends. Therefore, they have to spend time alone at their house playing Phasmophobia, whatever, some shit.
Phasmophobia.
Sorry, Phasmophobia. Phasmophobia, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
that's what I wish Steam or Valve was a public company so I could invest because I believe in what they're doing. But I generally think video games will do well for the next 3 years. If you don't want to,
Why just 3 years? It's been doing well for the past 40 years.
if you don't want to put your money into GME, just for anyone who's listening, like you can put your money on other video game companies too, like Nintendo or Sony or Microsoft even.
I think Sony. I don't think you can actually buy. You can't buy Sony on Microsoft. Not in the U.S. Nintendo is Japanese. I know Japanese stock. I don't know about Sony. I don't know if Sony has a ticker. Chunky, do you know? Does Sony have a? Can you buy Sony on the U.S. stock market?
Oh yeah.
So I personally,
Trading on this.
I personally own Sony, and I have owned Nintendo, but Nintendo moves very slowly. The one company that I did invest in is Unity, which is the gaming engine that drives a lot of our popular games. And they've been doing well as well. So I think gaming as a whole will flourish. I don't know for how long, just because once the quarantine ends, our lives will revert back to, hanging out with friends and having Korean barbecue. So
Yes, and fried chicken,
We'll see.
fried chicken sandwiches.
And
we'll see
sushi.
how it goes.
I'm-
I think, I don't know if you wanted to divulge into GameStop's way of dealing business, but like I personally think it's still gonna be bad. I don't know how Cohen's gonna revitalize the business besides dealing something else besides video games like weed.
Well,
but we'll see.
they actually can like extract a lot of their equities by closing the physical stores. Like if there a lot of money is scattered in the physical store right now, and they just focus on e-commerce, they already. I mean, like Kagros said, they already have a standing with not Think Geek. What am I thinking? Game Informer. I mean, they have an online presence, So I don't see that hard for them to translate over to become an e-commerce.
So
it's competitive.
Yeah. So let's talk about. This is a good segue into the next topic, which is the GameStop's future. So, like, discussing Cohen is actually pretty important because his vision for GameStop. So he wants to transform the way GameStop does business. So we mentioned e-commerce before, which I think is absolutely necessary, right? Like we saw, like
it has to be the only way.
It's the only way. Like Blockbuster failed because they couldn't move online fast enough, and then same with Borders.
Or they didn't buy freaking Netflix.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble was able to transition to have an online presence, but Borders was too slow, and as a result, Borders went bankrupt. If you guys don't know, Borders is formerly a bookstore chain, very very big bookstore chain. It was actually one of my favorite places to go buy books.
Wow.
So
I know, me too.
Yeah.
The fact that people nowadays doesn't know what it is.
Yeah. So, anyways,
sad.
So before, I want to start the topic out by talking about so they apparently GameStop is rolling out these custom build your own PC kiosks in certain stores.
Wow.
So like, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about that? Would you guys go to a GameStop to build a PC?
Niche market.
In store, like you actually walk into like a kiosk and like someone there helps you build a PC.
Yes.
Right
Yes.
there on the spot.
Yes.
Like, do you have to put money down first before they start building the PC?
No, I think it's kind of like how Tesla does it. So like when you go into a Tesla store, right? They have the catalog on a tablet, and then you can kind of pick and choose what you want, right?
Would I need to go into a store to do that thing? Couldn't I just do that online, order a PC through them? Like
hold on.
Cyber PC or with like whoever it was I bought my PC
But
through.
see, there's already like companies online that does like custom build PCs.
They're like boutique PC builders already. GameStop would be entering into a market to compete against them. GameStop would.
Again, I think it's a very niche market when most kids nowadays, like we were usually placed on console.
Yeah.
Like not everyone has the money to front for a custom build PC. Let alone, if they want to go after like Xbox or PS exclusive titles, that's not on PC games.
Sorry,
I don't know. I think it's a really niche market, and driving themselves into a wall.
I mean, I'm trying to think of like you can buy like PCs from Best Buy, obviously, but I think you can also buy them from like Staples of all people. Staples might have like custom PCs you can buy. You can customize a little bit. So you're entering into a market that's already very saturated with competitors. What is going to be GameStop's special deal with these PCs? Is it going to be like build a PC with us and you'll get like 5-10 games included with your build? Like the focus on like their gameplays, but
so
that's PC gaming.
So I think PC gaming as a whole is very niche, even though I think there's a lot more PC gamers nowadays, and people are buying many more games on PC. I still think that it's really the barrier to entry is really difficult. So like the only way I think GameStop can really prevail is not only do they sell custom PC builds, but they come out with their own PC themselves, and they streamline it in a way where they can sell you games very easily on their own PC brand. And I think
like Nintendo, basically,
or like even like with Steam in a way where, or like even more generally like a console where they're selling a console by themselves, but even though it's inherently a PC, they're able to make it so that it's really easy to not only buy games but to play games. And I think that PC gaming still, there's a lot of enthusiasts for sure, and I think that there's a lot of know-how when it comes to wanting to be a PC gamer. So I think if they lower the barriers to entry and allow people to buy games more easily with PCs, I think that's like one way that they can really survive this market. But I'm still pretty pessimistic just because GameStop isn't really positioned as a technology company. They're very brick and mortar in a way, even though they still do sell online games, or they sell games online, I mean, but just with the way that like PlayStation and Xbox have their own digital versions of consoles, I really don't see that happening. And like you said, Chunky, like PC gaming or PCs themselves are very niche, and like I don't think they'll gain very much if they kind of stick to the.
No, because I feel like your average indie game players wouldn't need a custom build PC to enjoy their games,
All right, so I did find the post where they talked about this. So let's talk about this. So this was let me put this up on the screen. Anyways,
before Kagros starts, I gotta head out.
Okay.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Chunky.
Oh, for sure.
I hope you had fun.
Hopefully, see you guys. I had fun. I had a lot of fun. Bye, guys.
See ya. Okay, give me a sec. I need to reformat the stream before we keep going. All right.
What so Tonk, like it seems like you're not knees deep in GME, but like what's your whole like perception of this? And if let's say all three of us gave you enough money to invest into GameStop, would you do it?
I don't know. I think I'm possibly, but I feel like it could be a risk, like that whole Volkswagen thing where it went up and super up, and people got super excited.
No. Hold on.
Boom, it's gone.
Forget all the financial stuff we talked about. You just looking at GameStop at a company. Would you buy it? Just looking at the company.
Oh.
Forget everything else. Like just like if we just said, would you invest in GameStop as a company?
Also,
No.
what it is now and what you think it'll look like in the future. I think that's really important to
Yes.
consider as well.
Probably not. I still think like even like you were saying, Juicy, like even if they do end up doing this PC thing, it's unless they make like an online shop, like they're kind of just stabbing themselves in the foot. Like this is I don't know.
Okay. All right. So anyway, so let's talk about this because this is completely this is so I put it up on the stream again. So this is some more Wall Street Bets, DD, our favorite. So build the PC kiosks are coming. So apparently GameStop is fielding PC build kiosks at a number of stores. And this person went to their GameStop and they noticed that they actually have a lot more merchandise from games to PC hardware to toys and clothing. The toys and clothing I already knew about, but PC hardware I didn't even know GameStop carried that. Because I remember like back in 2008 my brother bought Call of Duty for the PC, and then this is Modern Warfare 1, and then he wanted to sell it back to GameStop, and GameStop's like, oh no, we don't take PC games. So like the GameStop didn't even care about PC. So anyway, so apparently they're carrying PC gear now, and then so this person tried to buy a headset for the PC, but then everything that in the store, the hardware stuff, they said was just showing for promotional purposes. So the GameStop employee explained to them that they sell in-store items so fast that if they didn't display empty boxes, the store would look entirely empty. And obviously we know the Pokemon hype, right? The Pokemon card hype. So then the employee said, like, we had 200 packs of Pokemon cards. They sold out completely in 24 hours. And then the second thing is that they are reluctant to fill the store with generic items that don't sell quickly. And then she said for this store specifically, they're going to be redesigned to accommodate for PC building stations. And then
I have a question.
Yeah.
Kagros. Is this verified? Like, just because one person had this experience, like, has anyone else had this experience?
I have to read the comments to make sure, but it got upvoted. Okay. It got upvoted a crap ton, and there's multiple awards on this. But I think I did read a news piece about this regarding this as well. This is not the first time I heard of it, to be honest with you.
Gotcha. Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and then they've been crushing it with sales and store interest due to COVID, because as we all know, everyone's playing video games now, right? So let's see here. All right, so we people have speculated for some time that GME was going to pivot to PC parts and hardware, but they haven't heard. This person hasn't heard about a full-on build station. So apparently the plan is that customers can go into a store and spec out a PC rig. I don't know how they're going to spec it out. I don't know the details for this, but they can spec it out, pay for it, and then it will be shipped directly to their house. So you go into and the big part about it is that there's going to be a dedicated store employee. So like how you go to an Apple store, right? There's someone that can help you figure out what you want to buy. The Genius Lab, I forgot I think that's what they call them in the Apple store. So GameStop is going to have a dedicated employee who knows their stuff, who will help you buy the system that you want to buy. And obviously they're going to try to push people towards buying the more expensive stuff, but they know what they're talking about. This employee, they will help you spec out your company, because right now if you want to build a PC, you need to do a lot of research. You need to know everything about the hardware and everything. And I know for this reason, this is why Walmart, they sell pre-configured PCs. It's for people that don't know anything about PCs. They sell these gaming PCs that you don't know about them, you just buy them. But for GameStop, you can customize your PC with the help of an employee. And the whole idea is that this is to help people that don't know anything about PCs. Either they want to buy it for themselves, or they want to buy it for grandma wants to buy it for a grandson. Right? And then finally, the employee mentioned that there's a huge push from upper management for store employees to get knowledgeable on PC gaming or on hardware. And let me see if there's anything else. And then the guy at the end does disclose his position, that he does have some. So, all right, let me look through the comments.
So, I feel like GameStop's desires are a little confusing, because essentially they're selling a console in a way.
Yes.
Where, like, in a ideal future, instead of selling PCs, stores are selling consoles. Like, that's literally what a console is. Like a pre-built PC with the right specs, and it has its own ecosystem where you can buy games. Like, that's what it is. And I don't know, maybe there are more people who want to buy a PC, even myself included. Like, I wouldn't mind getting a PC, just because I think in terms of gaming, PC just has like a much bigger or larger shelf life in a way. Like this, like a PC is where you can have your entire collection essentially, and I think that's becoming more truer with like games like Horizon coming to PC, and I think that hopefully one day we live in a world where all the games are released on PC. And in that case, I think that's when GameStop can really make a killing off of PC builds. But yeah, what did you find, Kagros?
Yeah, so I looked at the comments. So this is the fourth from the top. So someone did call their GameStops. So someone did double check. They did some research. They called their GameStops, and apparently, basically confirmed what OP was saying. So
Just one person.
Yeah, there's another. I haven't scrolled down far enough, but this is someone else has verified that. So basically, let me go here. So his original post was that he called a bunch of local GameStops and got a very talkative sales guy, and he said that GameStop stores will either be 1.0 or 1.5 stores. The 1.5 stores will be more PC oriented and will allow users to choose parts, but he did not confirm PC building stations. But he did say that the changes started in October, which is when Ryan Cohen started getting involved with the company. And then he edited it, and he said he called another GameStop and then overheard them talking about a reset of stores when he asked which store in the area was 1.5. And then after that, he called another GameStop and found the 1.5 station, and the guy confirmed that OP's posts. And there will be GameStop stores where we can build out our whole PC in store. And then finally, he called several more stores, and it seems this may be a regional thing. GameStop in areas outside my state claimed that 1.5 stores were simply larger and had more room to carry supply, but did not involve building stations. So it's. I don't think it's 100% confirmed. I think that when it will be confirmed, it'll be a big announcement. Who knows? Who knows when it is?
I definitely think something like that, where having a build your own PC station, it's definitely going to probably be restricted to the more.
I want to say urban areas.
Big cities, lots of people, and I definitely think, just thinking about it now, like I could totally see a parent of like a kid who loves like Fortnite or whatever the next big multiplayer shooter game is, and all his friends are playing on PC and he doesn't want to play it on console. So the parents will go to GameStop and like build a PC that can play Fortnite, and you'll have your expert guy there who will know, oh yeah, your kid wants to play Fortnite on PC because all his friends are. This is the build we normally build for that game. This is the parts you will require. We'll build it and ship it to you, and it'll cost this much. And the parent will be like, okay, here you go. 5, 6, like $800. There you go. And little Timmy gets a PC that can play Fortnite with his friends with on PC because it's a better experience supposedly than console. And in that sense, I could see that working in more urban environments.
But
You know,
would it save the
GameStop
company?
GameStop
Hey.
should be selling to parents, saying your kids can play games and do their homework on this PC.
I mean, potentially, yeah. I don't know if it would save GameStop, but here's my thoughts on that. I think the issue with GameStop is they've been always focused on digital games. And by digital games, I mean like video games. But when you think about GameStop as a name, as a title, like they should expand themselves to incorporate all games. You know, there's been some discussion of GameStops having like tabletop spaces for people to play like board games or card games, and we've seen that sort of grow and develop over the past like 10 years. You know, with even our own experiences going to like board game cafes and stuff, and that's a perfect area for GameStop to sort of like slide into. You'd have to shut down probably a lot of stores and expand a couple more to fit that. But if you wanted to survive, you wanted to keep GameStop alive, that's definitely a region I think you could
Yeah,
move into.
actually Target is experimenting with basically tabletop space for people to play games. I remember reading about this a couple months ago. Target is looking into doing something like that, like a game room. That's what they're calling it, Target game room.
Like, if you're going to be GameStop, then be the stop for games. Video game, board games, card, like Pokemon. They sold out all those Pokemon cards. We'll start selling Magic cards, start selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Sell everything. Sell anything. Give a reason for someone to go to GameStop. It isn't just for one type of game. And maybe you'll survive.
I honestly cannot recommend. I can't recommend turning into like a hobby store. Those things have terrible profit margin. It's going to be really, really hard. Like I understand. Well, I understand what you're saying, but a game store is actually very difficult to keep. Board games, I think they're actually very hard to sell. I should ask my local game store how much revenue they get from board games, but I can't imagine that it's pretty rough. Like the board game cafe, the reason why the one we go to does very well is that people they buy food, right? Food is the big thing that they make money on, not the board games, and not the $5, not the $5 we pay to sit there all day playing games, right?
I mean, that's the thing. They're gonna have to figure that out. Find out what will make them money, what will keep them alive. But that's the thing. They have to branch out because the writing's on the wall. Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, per se, are all gonna start focusing more on digital games. Again, YouTube build into their digital platform. I mean, the PS6, will it be a digital-only console?
Oh, I hope not.
I hope not, but it could happen. Sony would be the ones to bite the bullet and do it, and then maybe have to make up for it and actually make it a physical version later down the line. Who knows? But we already saw Microsoft tempting fate with the Xbox One, you know, when it had to be always online, and they wanted you to buy digital-only games. It's coming. It's coming. So GameStop can't sit on its laurels and be like, well, we sell video games. They're going to have to sell something else.
Yeah,
if that's PCs, if that's board games, if that's card games, whatever it is. Or if it's just simply selling the space to let people come and play games there in a safe environment where like there's room. If that's the case, then that's what it's got to be.
What do you think, Tonk? What do you think GameStop future is going to look like as a former employee who worked there for half a year?
I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see. I don't know. I'm excited to see what they have in mind and what they have in store. I don't have the best of hope for them, but
Juicy, what about you?
I think I've voiced my opinions about GameStop's future. I think overall, I think gaming will be much more prevalent. Um, it's a little fortunate, with 2020, with how everyone's staying indoors. I think gaming has a lot to benefit from there, and I think people have started to realize how fun games are because of that. So I can only hope for the best. I think for GameStop itself, like I don't know, I don't wish any malice towards any company. Like they should do the best they can, and if they profit, that's good because they're making people happy. Um, but at the same time, like I think it's really difficult for GameStop to really succeed. Um, and even though there are claims that GameStop can flourish, I think those sources aren't the most reliable, coming from a not the most reliable source. Um, so yeah, I would take it for a grain of salt, but at the end, I think if you're someone who's really into gaming, I can guarantee that gaming will still continue to be as popular, if not even more popular in the future. I think I'm sure if we were to ever have children of our own or be able to like spread knowledge to the future generations, we'll say you should check out this old Super Mario game. And I think that'll always be the case. And I think for that reason, gaming will always stick. Just like movies, just like books.
Yes, yes, I agree. So I think for GameStop to survive, in my opinion, they really need to scale back a lot of their stores. They need to close more stores and really buckle down and and really fill a niche. They need to find a niche to fill because there's too much competition on the digital marketplace to begin with. They plan to do the e-commerce route, but they need to really find a niche because actually, like brick and mortars in general are very very hard. Like what IDK said about the turning into a game store, it's really really hard for a game store to survive. And brick and mortar businesses aren't doing so hot. Like they've been on the decline, right? You see all these department stores starting to close down. Like, and it's really crazy because like everything's moving to digital. Like why would I go into a store? Why would I go into a store unless it's to why would I go into a store when I can just order something online, right? Like the only like for let's take like for example like COVID, right? Why would I go into the store where I can just order the food on my app? I can order delivery for free, or basically not much of a I don't have to get in my car and I don't have to go. Like everything I can just do it from come from my home. And I think that in order for if you own like a brick and mortar, and I tried to hint this during the whole time, which is why I discussed it. I think in order for brick and mortars to survive, you need to have like that personal connection, right? Like you need a reason to go in, not just for whatever you're buying, right? You're looking for a personal connection, and that's why I said the reason why game stores in like hobby stores in general are very very hard to run. So many of them go bankrupt and they lose all their money because they didn't expect it to be so difficult. But the reason why they flourish is because of the personal connection you get. That when you go in, they know who you are and everything. The reason why I go to a restaurant now is because I want to make sure that their restaurant doesn't, go out of business. That's why I never order delivery. I always go straight to the restaurant because when I order directly from the restaurant, they get every single penny that I'm paying them. Then, a third party is not getting a cut of the money. And I think that in order for brick and mortars to survive, they really need, that you need to have a personal interest in whatever they're selling, not just whatever they're selling, but like them as a business as a whole. Which is why I think mom and pop shops might see a resurgence in they've been beat down by corporations for for who knows how long, but now as everything moves digitally, just having that personal touch whenever you do your shopping or for whatever it is, I think it makes a huge difference.
I can only really agree with you if these mom and pop stores don't upsell me with their power up points and their protection plans. Just stop it, GameStop. I 100% agree with you. I think that human connection is so valuable. It's actually invaluable, and I think that a lot of businesses don't really capture that very well. So I think, in my opinion, I hope GameStop doesn't close their stores, but in fact, like you said, like build those interpersonal relationships and just stop upselling me on your power up points and your protection plans. If they just stop doing that and they don't like do it based on commission, I can see GameStop being a more like
yeah, we
positive
forgot to ask Tonk.
experience.
When GameStop tries to sell you things, is there a commission? There's no commission for you
I
guys,
don't
right?
know. I was part-time, so I don't know if there was ever
I'm
any
pretty sure.
commission.
I mean, there was no commission for you directly, though. You didn't get it,
No.
right? Yeah, of course
No,
not.
I don't think there was.
Yeah.
At least
Well,
when I
that
worked there.
and that's why you're such a great person, because you're not like trying to sell your protection plan to people, right? You're just like, okay, just buy the Day of Sex game and like come back again soon. I hope so.
Yeah.
I can support that. I support that fully.
Okay, you look like yes. There's something you want to say.
You know, GameStop, if it disappears, I wouldn't really shed a tear, but at the same time, it would kind of suck because there would be one less competitor in the pool for, selling video games. Just as it stands right now, you have the actual publishing studios themselves, like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo. You can buy direct from. You can buy from Target, Walmart. You can buy from Best Buy. You can buy from GameStop. If GameStop falls out, then sort of like the lowest man on the totem pole is now gone. Now who takes their place on that totem pole? Is it Walmart? Is it Target? Who's going to bow out of video game sales next? I just don't want to fall into a future where it's like you can only buy your games from Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony, and there's never any sales or deals because they're in full control. But that's really about it. It's like I want more places I can choose to shop at, if I so choose.
Anyways, I do wish GameStop the best, and I hope our discussion has been thought provoking, and I hope you guys all learned something. If anything, I hope the Wall Street Bet saga of the GME stock was an entertaining tale, and time will tell, especially since I have a position in it, so I'm on the roller coaster ride that is the GME stock. But as a company, if they are able to complete a transformation, I think it'd be really cool to see. And I think if they are able to do it, it will be probably just talked about for a long, long time. Just like how I'm trying to think of a company that went through a transformation. Probably like someone like Domino's. I think Domino's is kind of a good example where a company, they rely on technology to basically propel themselves to be the number one in the market. And I think if GameStop does manage to pull it off, I think it'll be even more transformative than Domino's did. So, anyways, I think this should probably be this. I think we had a very long discussion about our favorite, or maybe not so favorite, gaming retail store. And to the viewers, thank you for tuning in and listening to us rant about GameStop. And once again, you can find us on our YouTube page, or you can watch us stream on Twitch every Wednesdays at 8. Anyways, until then, we will see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi.